In the last two videos of the series, I talked about the three valuable marketing elements to consider in the process of selling: attraction, conversion, and consumption. And if you haven't watched those two videos, just comment below and I'll make sure to send you the links. Now, the whole problem with today's world, more than probably any time in history, is that there's so much confusion. There's so much intimidation. You can literally open up your inbox and you have to do email, website, sales letters, probably somehow get all your Facebook stuff up, updated, your blog, and so on and so forth, do podcasts, do videos. You get the idea. The intimidation level is extremely, extremely high. Now, there are two techniques to sell to people. The first one is through intimidation, and the second one is through empowerment. Now, if you intimidate someone enough, they're scared enough to buy everything from you because they really think that somehow it's going to solve their problem. Now, of course, because the whole premise is to intimidate them, whatever you buy, whatever they buy, will then continue to intimidate you so that you buy more and more and more. It's like a drug habit. Now, the other way, which is empowerment, is another drug habit in the sense that you empower someone and they were able to solve their problems, so they'll come back anyway. Think of it like this. Say you cook and serve a great meal. You can empower someone and give them that great meal, or you can force them to eat it by intimidating them. You know, I'm sure some of us parents have tried this with kids. Yeah, you better eat this or I'm going to take this away, or you're not going to eat anything. That's through intimidation. That's really what's happening, in the sense that you can intimidate people into buying, and it's very effective. In fact, that's the tool that's used all the time online. I mean, to just scare the heck out of you, so you have to buy it. And then there's empowerment, where you teach people how to do stuff and they'll buy anyway. I don't know whether we could call anything good or evil, but at least, you know, I'm choosing empowerment, and I have been for a long time and moving forward. So we choose to tell people how to do stuff so that they can do it themselves. Now, how important is the third conversion? And why should someone not let the customer skip the sequence? Say you go to a party and have a drink, and supposing you're a decently big drinker. If you drink one drink, then that's fine. If you drink a second of that same drink, there's a very good chance that you'll drink the same drink the third time over. The same thing applies to a restaurant. Say you go to a restaurant and you sit in a seat, and you then go to sit the next time and you sit in that same seat. And then the third time, you almost invariably will go and sit at the same seat. You'll always find that people have their favorite seats in restaurants and they have their favorite meals. Trust me, I mean, you just name a restaurant in Calgary and I'm going to tell you why I go there, because of a specific meal or dessert or whatever it is. And of course, we have habits like, you know, coffee, where a person will start to have their first coffee, then they have the second coffee, then they have the third. What's happening is that by the time the person gets to the third product or the third service or the third time in the restaurant, they start to kind of own that. You know, it starts to become a habit. It's very critical for people to go through getting to be very comfortable with you and go through one conversion, then a second conversion, and then a third conversion. If you're someone who is truly interested in the well-being of your customer, then you have to give them less, not more. This is a very tricky situation because you cannot promise less. If you promise less, the customer is going to go some other place because there's nothing here. Now, what you're really doing is you're still promising the whole farm, but you're restricting it. So I do this, for example, with first-time home buyers or sellers, where you might get the process of home buying or even of selling. But there are very strict instructions on what to read and when to read it. In effect, what happens is we tell people, here is the process, here's all the stuff, and don't look at anything. Here's step 1, here's step 2, and here's step 3 coming up next. Now, this home selling guide consists of 200 pages. Here's what you need to do. Put the book down, open up the little booklet that comes with the book, and then read that first. You get the idea. That could be just 15 pages, and they can, do that right away. So that leads them to the next step. So give one instruction at a time. Really, that's the kind of thing that you have to do. You have to say, there are 50 things that this client has to do, but they can really only handle one instruction at a time. Now, one of the best examples of consumption is probably Apple. I mean, if you want to look at, say, the iPhone, think of what you have to do to start up an iPhone. You know, when the iPhone first came out, compared to any other phone in the market, whether it's a competitor, it's a Samsung, whatever, any other phone, there's like 15 or 20 buttons you could possibly press. But with the iPhone, you just have to press one button. Then when you press that one button, you have to slide one thing. So it goes through increased complexity. Then when you open it up for the first time, you only have like 8 or 9 buttons that you can choose from. And very quickly, you start to look through different things. Then as you get a little bit more savvy, as you start downloading more apps and you start putting them into categories and so on and so forth. So it takes you through a different step process. As you increase your complexity, you start doing more stuff. What Apple actually does is they work very, very hard at what they would call user interface. But at the end of the day, user interface, it's really consumption. It's making the customer do one tiny thing, one very small step at a time, and advancing them to that next step. Now, Apple is an interesting example. They pretty much do the sequential selling to people as well. They get you started, then add more complexity as you go along. You know, they escalate as well, and they de-escalate. The best example of that as well, you know, we keep talking about food in this last series. You know, let's talk about dinner. When you go out to dinner and you start on with your starters, you know, maybe you have a glass of wine, you probably have some garlic bread, and then you start to escalate. You know, you start to maybe have the main meal, and then you start to de-escalate from there. So you're going down, and then you start to have some dessert, maybe some coffee after that. What you're doing is you're almost climbing up the mountain and then down the mountain. So what happens with this escalation and de-escalation is that you kind of go all the way up, and then you come down again, buying smaller products. And then a whole new range of things starts again. So anyway, please watch this carefully several times if need be, and most important, implement it and share it, and share in the comments below your experience. Hope you enjoyed this series, and I'll chat with you soon.